Hey film fans! Welcome to CinePro, your ultimate hub for all movie recaps, from heartwarming classics to the latest blockbusters. When we started our film, it began with a waterfall above which a spaceship hovered. There was an alien standing in the waterfall. This alien brought up a liquid, drank it, and after a while began to expose that liquid to his body. All his veins were black, and his DNA was destroyed until it was divided and fell into the water. Afterward, they went to the island in Scotland. There was a group of scientists who turned over, and they saw ancient relics from 35,000 years ago. They entered and saw many drawings, among them a specific drawing they observed. The scientist Charlie said to Elizabeth, "This drawing is older than many other drawings we've seen." On the other hand, we have a spaceship called Prometheus. This spaceship contains a humanoid robot named David, who accompanies them. He tries to learn everything related to human behavior and perfectly mimics humans. He plays sports, watches movies, learns old and new languages, and even researches information about the crew working with him on the spaceship. When the spaceship reached its destination, David woke the crew from the sleep they had been in for 2 years. This crew consisted of scientists, the ship's captain and his team, and armed men for protection. When they woke up, their bodies were not in perfect condition, as their brains were still in shock from the long sleep they had been in. They drank fluids to restore their energy. The captain, named Yannick, went to set up a Christmas tree to feel the passage of time. A woman named Meredith approached him and asked if he had any plans or tasks. She later gathered the entire crew and told them her mission was to ensure each of them was doing their job properly. She showed them a recorded video of their leader, Peter, who was funding this journey. The recording began with him telling them, "Since you are watching this video, it means you have arrived safely. Currently, I am no longer alive and will not be with you in life. The reason I invested my money in this journey and brought you all here is because 2 scientists convinced me they discovered that aliens live on this planet you have come to. They told me this planet might be habitable. Your mission is to continue this discovery and succeed in this operation." At this moment, the scientists who convinced Peter, Charlie, and his wife Elizabeth stood up. They presented all the information and research they had found about these alien relics. They even showed pictures of the drawings that documented this. They told them there was a possibility this planet had a sun similar to our Earth. Since these beings left their traces, it means they wanted us to come and find them on this planet, despite all that happened. However, the team was not convinced by this. Later, Meredith added, "When you go out, even if you encounter these beings, you are prohibited from interacting with them. Your mission is to report back on anything you find and observe them, so they don't do anything that could jeopardize the success of this journey." Yannick and his team set out and entered the depths of the planet. They ventured into everything, and they noticed there was no sign of life. But Charlie saw something from the outside and told them he would go to investigate. The spaceship arrived at this location and landed. The team of scientists prepared themselves, put on their spacesuits, and went out. The first thing they saw was a large, strange dome. The geologist told them, "We couldn't determine whether this dome was natural or man-made." They noticed it was structured and hollowed out in a scientific manner. They found a large opening and decided to enter. At this time, Yannick and Meredith were monitoring them from the spaceship via cameras. Upon entering, Dr. Fifield activated sensory cameras to create a 3-dimensional map of the place. The team followed the map drawn by the sensory cameras to navigate the farthest point. The scientists continued following the map, venturing deeper into the ground. They discovered water channels that heated up from sunlight entering the area. Charlie told them the air here was natural, unlike other places where the air was toxic. To confirm this, he removed his helmet and began breathing naturally. They continued their journey, and the robot David approached a panel with drawings and symbols. He was able to understand the symbols and activated them, producing a 3-dimensional recording of a group of people running down a path. The team followed the same path until they found the body of an alien. At this moment, Meredith realized the scientists' theory was correct. They found many symbols on the walls, but were frightened by the alien's body. Meredith said they couldn't proceed further and decided to leave before it got colder. Elizabeth examined the alien's body, finding it dated back to 2006. David deciphered the symbols and opened another door for them, leading them to a large chamber. Inside, they found a human-like head placed on a pedestal and drawings on the walls. There were also many stone jars on the ground. David found one of these jars containing a black liquid that was moving. Elizabeth noticed the drawing's features were changing. She told them, "We need to leave here as soon as possible." They took the head with them, and David carried one of the jars. As they were leaving, Yannick saw a massive storm heading toward the spaceship. He contacted them and said, "You have 15 minutes to get back to the spaceship before I seal it." The team rushed to their vehicles and drove back to the ship. As they arrived, the storm got very close. The container holding the head fell, and Elizabeth went back to retrieve it. But as she picked it up, the storm hit her, throwing her some distance from the spaceship. Her husband drove a vehicle to rescue her, but he too was thrown by the storm. At the last moment, David managed to pilot the ship's robotic arm to retrieve them and bring them inside. Once safely inside, they found Fifield and Milburn, who had gone out earlier and had not returned. The team said, "When we left, we couldn't find them or contact them. They were still in the dome, lost and unable to find their way out." Later, the captain managed to contact them, telling them, "There's a storm outside, so you can't leave now. Stay where you are, and we'll come for you tomorrow to get you out." The team resumed their work on the spaceship. Dr. Elizabeth and David sterilized the alien head they brought back to examine it. The first thing they found was a helmet. When they opened it, they discovered a head resembling a human's, still containing some living cells. They decided to activate the brain and stimulate its nervous system. And indeed, it worked, as the head opened its eyes and began reacting. Here, a chewed-up creature was taken out alive, but they were scared and closed it off. Its head exploded, and a green substance came out of it. Elizabeth said that the Ford must turn this substance over to another side. Robot David walked to the sleeping house, stopped in one of the rooms, and started talking to someone in it. He told him everything that happened. When he went out, he met Mert, who said to him, "Who is this? And what did he say to you when you told him that thing that happens? He doesn't want anyone to say it to him." So she threatened him that his system would be destroyed, but he didn't say anything to her. Then he spoke and said to him, "This is someone trying to deceive you to succeed." After that, he left her and went away. Later, he went alone and turned over the jar he brought with him. When he dried it, he found a lot of tubes containing a strange liquid. He wanted to experiment with what it could do. He went and turned over a drink jar and offered Charlie to drink with him. Then he added this substance into his cup without him knowing. As for Elizabeth, when she tested the substance, she found that its DNA was very similar to human DNA. She wanted to know the reason, the death of these creatures. We returned to Melb and Wild, who were still searching in the dome. They found a place full of alien corpses. Here, Commander Johnny called them and told them that he had received a signal of something alive being with them. They moved there because they were afraid. After that, they reached the place where the pumpkins were and saw that one. The liquid came out of them a little on the ground. The liquid began to move towards them, and a long living creature came out of it, like a snake. He approached someone and grabbed it in his hand, but he did not want to let it go. He came and cut the creature apart, and a substance came out of it and landing on Milbur's helmet. It melted it as if it was dissolved by acids. The helmet broke. That creature entered through it. They left it in the maze to kill it. Let's return to Charlie, who drank with David. When he fainted, he found his eyes red and saw what seemed like worms in them. He found that Jonik could no longer communicate with those two in the dome. He told the team to get ready to leave to see what's going on. The team left in cars and entered the dome on foot, except for David, who entered by car. He entered a place alone, and Mertz was near the ship. Then he entered through another passage and went through a gate. He found the place filled with these jars. There was another gate with giant creatures and advanced tools. As for the team, they entered and found Milbur's body, but they didn't find Field. At this point, Charlie started screaming in pain. They took him out of the fog to cool him down. Robot David was still exploring the place. He saw a rotating chair but didn't sit on it. Here, a 3D hologram appeared, showing a giant creature in the same chair. It was controlling something. Through it, planets and galaxies appeared, including Earth. Here, David discovered a secret and saw a coffin containing a giant creature. He approached it to listen and found it was still alive. Back to Charlie. After they carried him out, his skin started turning black. When they reached the ship's door, Mertz aimed her weapon at them and didn't let them in. She told them he might have a virus that could infect them. Elizabeth and Jonik told her to let them in and see how to save him, but she didn't let him in. Here, Charlie approached her to silence her. On the platform, Mertz burned him until he disintegrated. His wife fainted from the shock. They carried her inside. The robot David came to check if she had been infected. When he examined her, he found she was 3 months pregnant. When she woke up, he told her the thing inside her wasn't a normal fetus. She got scared and told him they needed to abort it. He said he couldn't because the tools weren't available. He asked her to go into stasis until they returned to Earth. He gave her a sedative to ease her pain. Later, 2 doctors came to take her to stasis. but she attacked them and escaped to Mertz's control room. When she entered, she found the automated surgery pod. She entered it and commanded it to remove the alien creature from her body. The machine started working on her until it removed the creature. It tried to attack her, but she escaped and locked it in the room. She released gas on it, freezing it. At this time, Jonik saw Veald's camera near the ship and sent 2 people to retrieve her. But when they went out, they found Veald transformed into a strange shape and attacking them, killing them. When Jonik saw this, he alerted the others. They went out with weapons to kill him. As for Elizabeth, she went to find David and the others. She met their leader, Peter, who was supposed to be dead, but he had been with them all along, just in stasis. Peter said he wanted to see their discoveries with his own eyes, because the aliens' advancements could restore his health and youth. Elizabeth told him they found everything dead. David said, "No, I found one still alive." They prepared Peter to go see it personally. She told them it was risky. She and Charlie were wrong in their theory. These creatures might be more dangerous than they thought. She insisted they leave immediately, but Peter was convinced and didn't listen to her. When they went out, she encouraged herself and took painkillers to continue the mission. The leader told her these aliens weren't the planet's original inhabitants. He explained they had always been here manufacturing weapons, but these weapons got out of control and killed them. Elizabeth said she found one still alive. He replied he couldn't return anywhere it might be. Mertz went to Peter, who was still alive, and begged him not to go because he could die. She told him life has its natural course, and everyone lives their time and dies. But Peter didn't listen to her either. He dismissed her and left. Later, the team left the ship with Peter and went to the dome. Robot David entered the room where those jars were found, and Elizabeth was imagining everything as Jonik. They showed him the large number of those bottles. They told him, "Johnny, like weapons." In Jonik's map of that place, he found a dome that looked like a spaceship, which shocked them even more. Anyway, David entered the advanced room they found and showed them even the aliens sleeping in the room. From his research there, he knew that the aliens were planning to destroy Earth. Anyway, he opened the room for the alien and woke it up. At this point, Peter asked David to talk to it to understand it, but Eliza jumped in with many questions. She asked, "Where did you come from? What were you manufacturing that caused you all to be killed? And why do you want to destroy Earth?" Peter told one of his men to silence her. An alien approached David and started talking to him in its language to understand him. Then the alien grabbed him by the head and killed him. It attacked Peter, killed him, and finished off all his men. Only Elizabeth was left, who escaped. She passed through the spaceship and saw that it had killed Peter and all his men. She told Jonik to move now to get out of there. Later, the alien entered the control room, grabbed a large weapon similar to a spacecraft, entered it, pulled out a map of the planets, and started moving. At this point, Elizabeth exited the dome and contacted Jonik, asking him to figure out how to stop the alien because it was heading to Earth to destroy it. If Earth was destroyed, they would have nowhere to go or live. Despite this, he told her he couldn't act. She replied, "I told you to move now to Earth." Johnny said, "I can't let the alien destroy our planet." At this point, he made a decision. They decided to solve the problem. Then Mertz went and boarded an escape capsule to descend with it. Since Johnny had no other solution, he decided to sacrifice himself. He went with his ship and collided with the alien's ship, and both exploded in the sky. Elizabeth and Mertz were below the explosion and ran to avoid the debris falling on them. Elizabeth managed to escape, but Mertz was struck by debris and died. At this point, Elizabeth went to the capsule to board it and escape, but before she could board, she heard a sound coming from their ship. She picked up a tool, entered, and followed the sound until she reached the automated operations room. There, she found the creature that had emerged from her belly, grown significantly, and turned into a monster. The monster shut the door. She heard David communicating with her, telling her to escape because the alien was coming for her. Indeed, she had nowhere to run until it entered. She fled toward the automated operations room door, locked it, and waited until it approached her. Then she opened the door slightly. At that moment, the monster inside emerged and attacked the alien, killing it. Meanwhile, Elizabeth escaped and fell outside the ship. David spoke to her again, telling her she needed to help him so they could escape from there because there were many alien ships. They could escape using one of them. She got up and went to where he had fallen. She told him she wanted him to take her to the aliens' planet to uncover the truth about the destruction and why they wanted to destroy Earth. She lowered his body with a rope from the ship, put his head in a bag, and headed toward another ship to board it. Later, she sent a message to Earth informing them that the entire research team had died. that she was the sole survivor, and warning them not to try sending anyone there because of the danger. After that, she set off toward the aliens' planet. And here, our movie ends. I hope you enjoyed the summary. Don't forget to watch the previous summaries and subscribe to see the upcoming ones. And see you in the next video.